6 p.m. his time, be 9 p.m. So, hi Brian, how are you?
Hello, Tanya. Good evening.
I thought you
Hello,
would get it.
everybody.
So this is Brian, everyone. Brian and I do longevity episodes to Twitter Spaces together. So we're trying to get our schedule together, but this opportunity came up, and I ended up meeting Adam in Stu and Gio's morning space. So, and then next thing I know, I think I speak to, I don't really speak to Greg. We're usually in part of an E-chain amount, Dr. Fahy. And then Bobby Brook, I've had dinner with once or twice, and he's incredible. I love their project. And I think Brian, you even talked about their project, the Thymus project. Didn't you
Um,
mention that to me about Greg Fahy's Thymus project?
yeah, refresh my memory. I
We were
talk
talking about
about so many things.
yeah, I know. We were talking about different people we want to bring onto space and talk about
Yes.
what they're doing. And a lot of the people, and ironically, it's not ironically, it's just all the longevity researchers, they all know each other. So we're gonna, and the ones we bring up, so I literally, when I email them, I say, well, Mark Gordon's been on here. um we've had the Radfest people, and that's it. That they were like, okay. So it's
Yeah,
good.
that's what you need. They seem to be all in one circle. Um, yeah, it would be nice if we could get Suzanne Summers to come on. I don't even know if she's on Twitter.
No, she would do it for me. She owes me one appearance, but I'm trying to like keep that appearance one really important one. So the big important one that I work with is the women in communication. So that's the only one. But I can get us Dr. Jeff Life. He would definitely do it. He loved this kind of stuff.
That's good. Hello, Adam. How are you?
Hi, Brian. I'm Adam. This is probably our first time meeting, so nice to
Yes.
meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So Brian's big into the longevity industry. Actually, like Brian and I just accidentally met too, and then we just turns out that we like all the people that he follows and what he knows and understand is pretty much the same protocol that I'm into. So we have bonded that way, and then from there on, so Brian asks really better questions than I do. So I wanted him to be part of this to talk to Bobby and Dr. Fahy. So when they get here. Did we send them the link? We sent them the link, right, Adam? We did. Let me send them again.
I sent him everything you sent me, so but he doesn't use Twitter often. So you might want to resend it to him.
Adam, do you have the Twitter Spaces tab? No, it's
I'm
at
not
the
sure.
bottom. Like a little triangle that not everybody has it, but you can search multiple spaces throughout the Twitter universe. It's a pretty cool tool. It will probably be rolled out to the rest of users. I'm saying maybe early next year.
No, I don't have access to any of the fancy features actually here in Lao. I actually have to VPN and download the program from India to even give me access to spaces to host, and then
okay.
I have to then VPN again to Thailand to host the spaces. So I'm actually VPN through Thailand.
All right.
So yeah, otherwise, if I just connect from Laos, it takes away my access to Twitter Spaces to even create them or stuff like that. So I think I'm not sure what it is. They might have some agreement with the communist country here.
Yeah, I think that they probably do. But good. We're glad you're here.
It could just be also my silly phone because I did meet a couple Lao people on here, so we'll see.
Yeah. There does seem to be a battle between the Androids and the iPhone users in spaces.
Brian, I'm not sure if it's me or if it's your connection, but you get a little bit robotic sounding.
I don't
It's
know.
fine now.
I use the same microphone I always do.
It was just a tad feedback for a second, but he's fine now. And then we're streaming right now, so we can go ahead and start. I emailed Everybody email. I have people calling me. I'm supposed to go to a conference. Let's see. And satire. Let's get him on. So, hey everybody, welcome to, this is my second space about NFT. Tonight's different. It's going to be about my good friend, Adam Stewart. He goes by colorblind_Adam. And I'm also here with my co-host from my longevity space, Brian. He goes by psychic_Brian33. We're here today. We're going to be, we're waiting for Dr. Greg Bahi and also Bobby Brook to join us from Immune. I hope I didn't get
Intervene Immune.
Immune. It's been a tongue twister for me. But I actually emailed him to his regular email. But I know that I'm killing him right now. But yeah, so they're gonna be popping in. They only have 30 minutes, but they're in the middle of doing a lot of the other projects. So why don't we just go ahead and start? I think we already warmed up a little bit, and I want to introduce you, Adam, and you can tell us about your story and also your quest, because you're doing a series and you're donating the proceeds from your NFT to the different longevity researchers. So Adam, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and a little story. Tell us about what made you decide to get to do this. This is, I mean, it's a huge endeavor.
Sure. Before I got into NFTs, I'm a watercolor artist, and I've been working with watercolors for about the last 6 years. I'm obsessed with them, and I go to bed dreaming about watercolors. It's kind of my life. And so I work primarily here in Laos as a teacher part-time so that I can have the work visa to continue to do my watercolor art. And about November, around this time last year, is when I was first looking into cryptocurrencies. And that is when I stumbled across Ethereum again. Now, I had a friend who was really big on Ethereum when it first came out. And so I started asking him all these questions about Ethereum, and he gave me all these cool links where I was reading about like it's kind of like the Wikipedia white pages of crypto, is what he was sending me. And so I was reading the different things about Ethereum, about, proof of work, proof of storage, proof of burn, things like this that has to deal with the cryptocurrencies in general. And as I did that, I started hearing these things like NFT, and I had just conceived of this idea because as I mentioned to you before, I've always been obsessed with death, and I know that's not a healthy obsession. Having these ideations of entropy is kind of something that I've always been mentally consumed with. And I thought it would be an interesting project to follow that entropy and the blockchain, because the blockchain is kind of like life. It's like, you plant a seed, it grows, and as things are recorded on the blockchain, it continues to grow, and it's kind of combating that information degradation. And so from that perspective, the blockchain, crypto technology, to me was like life, it was kind of symbolic to me, almost a metaphor of how life kind of combats entropy. And I mean entropy in the poetic sense. I don't mean it in the cosmological, equilibrium of the universe, everything just kind of in its own little space. I mean it as, things are built up into organized order, and then kind of degrade and disorder. So that's why I looked at the blockchain is in this way. And so I thought this would be a neat project as I conceived it, to create something to fight against entropy, to create something, and then look at the blockchain, which could record it hypothetically forever, as long as that information remains intact, and so that's why I conceived of doing the project this way, this particular art project. Applying it towards longevity was also kind of just went with it for me, because it felt like, longevity is longevity researchers or regenerative medicine researchers are on that same vein of not wanting life to lose information, over time. And so to keep, because we are information. And so as the longer we can stay here, we're maintaining that information from degradation. And so I really liked that mental concept as I was laying in my bed and I conceived of it. I sent it to my buddy, like I said, back in November, maybe early December is when I finally emailed it to him. And he said, that sounds like a neat idea. You should try it. And so that started the whole process of conceiving and trying to work out this project to get to where we are today.
So so tell me about um your first project. What would you call this? You got this the NFTs longevity projects? Because you're not, it's not just one. So far you're doing three different donation. Am I
Well,
correct?
there's three NFTs, but it's kind of one project because it's one theme. You know, the first one is proof of work, because if you're familiar with the blockchain, there's what's called proof of work, and proof of work is the idea, you know, that we record exactly what's going on onto the blockchain, right? And this concept of proof of work, I decided to do through a video where I paid my dear friend and cousin Jason Reyes to create a soundtrack for me, and then I paid a local videographer to record me painting the Two Tulips painting. And so while they were painting, we recorded it, we added this cool soundtrack, and this became the first NFT. And we titled this one Two Tulips Proof of Work. And that one was, we donated the proceeds of the sale of that NFT to Dr. Levin, because Dr. Levin's work really feels like creation, because he's doing the electropharmaceuticals, he's doing these cool clinical studies with planarians where he was like altering their morphology. It was really interesting, and like he created, you know, limbs on frogs. So it really felt like creation. So that's why I paired that one with proof of work. The second one what we did was called Two Tulips Proof of Storage. And this one we donated the proceeds of this, which was a professional photograph of the Two Tulips painting, and created into an NFT. This one was sent, the funds that we earned were sent to Dr. Sinclair, because Dr. Sinclair, you know, he talks a lot about analog information loss. And so it really felt appropriate to have the proof of storage for Dr. Sinclair. And the last one, this one is the third in this kind of like, I would almost say like a series. You know, these three NFTs that are linked together. This project is for Dr. Fay, because if you look at look at his research and his publications over time in cryogenics, you know, and they have to do a lot with like saving and preserving things. And it was kind of tongue in cheek a little bit. I was being a little bit cheeky with it because, you know, he's you know, he's freezing things, you know, and I'm burning. And so I really wanted him to be the end of the process, you know, because his research is so amazing that he's doing with thymus regeneration, that I really wanted to support him. And I thought that this would be the best one kind of to pair with him, because like I said, I'm burning it, but he's preserving it. And so I thought it was a nice balance, you know, that juxtaposition of the two. And I think I just saw him join the room, and he just dropped out again. If you want to send him another invite.
Yeah, I'm actually in a middle of DMing them. You have to you can't use from your desktop. That's the thing. It has to be on a mobile app to be able to join in. You can listen, but you can't. You can listen on desktop, but you can't speak in unless it's on a it's on a phone.
Yeah, Twitter.
Yeah, Twitter. They're not yet. They're trying to get all the other part done, but yeah. So I just sent them that, so they'll have to like update their phone. Here we go.
Adam, how long did it take you to make your three bodies of work?
Well, the painting process is not too intense, but the logistics of getting it organized and saving the money to pay for a videographer and the soundtrack actually took me a little bit to arrange the funding. Like I said, I conceived of the idea back last November, so it's been a year between when I conceived the idea and to the point to where I could execute it. Because, like I said, I'm living in Laos, and the salary here is very low. So, you know, if I was in America, I could save the money to pay for videographers a lot faster, you know. But to get all the logistics arranged took some time. But the painting itself probably took me 15 hours, you know, around. And, you know, but just getting everything and converting it to NFTs, it was all a learning process for me. Now I could probably do it much quicker. But because I was so new to it, it took me some time. I didn't have anyone to teach me how to do NFTs. It was kind of, I was winging it.
Yeah.
But now I'm in the position though that I could probably do it in this project. If I wanted to conceive and do it, I could probably get it done in, you know, like 2 months, but or less. But
so how long was that learning curve to learn from start the NFT to build an NFT?
To actually create the NFT itself is actually really fast. You just go on the site and plug in and upload your video. My problem was I didn't know how to do video encoding. I didn't know how to make MP4s. I didn't know how to make it the right formats. I didn't know how to pair the music to the videos, that I was learning everything from scratch because I'm just a painter. I'm a watercolor artist.
Yeah.
I'm not in the tech field. So I literally had to learn all these little pieces along the way and consult with other people who knew more and ask them, hey, I'll pay you this if you'll do this for me. So it took me a lot longer than it should have. But now that I know how to do it, I think I could do it a lot faster.
That's great. I think there's people in this room, including me, that don't know anything about building an NFT, but would love to know, hey, where do you go to start? If someone wanted to do that, or turn, say, my photography into an NFT, or my artwork.
I think the fastest way to learn how to create an NFT would be to join Twitter Spaces. There is always, like, if you look at the audience right now, a lot of these people are my friends from various Twitter Spaces. And if you joined any of their rooms and I said, hey, can someone help me make an NFT? I have this cool idea. Someone in that crowd would say, yeah, they'll send you a DM and they'll walk you through the process. People in the NFT community are not very competitive like you would see in other industries. There's no gatekeeping. Everyone, I mean, there might be a little bit here and there, you know, and there might be some jealousy here and there because there's just various personalities. But overall, as a community, everybody wants everyone to succeed because most artists are pretty open-hearted people and they don't want to see a fellow artist fail. We want everyone to succeed. We want everyone to have a future in art. And so I think that people will give their time and energy to help others succeed in this space.
Hi, Adam and Tanya. This is Bobby Brook.
Hey, Bobby.
Intervening you. Hello, I made it.
You did. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm great. It's so crazy. Like, it's so funny that you're here in my space because it just, you know, I don't know. When Adam mentioned your names, I was like, oh my God, I know them. It was great. So, welcome to my Twitter Spaces. Today's Twitter Space is going to be to learn more about your longevity project research and collaboration with Adam for his NFT. And this is the kind of project I've been talking about. I've been telling Bill Falloon and Brian Delaney about this kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's just so funny that the first one I'm featuring is your project. So welcome to Twitter Spaces.
No, yeah, we're really excited that Adam reached out to Greg and was familiar with his research. I didn't realize, I kind of overheard you before, Adam, when you're mentioning all Greg's work with cryobiology and that kind of being the contrast with this proof of burn kind of piece, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, it's it is a very kind of novel and seems like an innovative approach with NFTs. But yeah, we're super grateful that you're kind of profiling us, and so yeah, thank you.
Thank you as well. I've been kind of a fan of you guys for a little while now. I know you. I've watched so many TED Talks and read so many of the articles that you guys have released and watching your clinical trials. I'm a total fan of you guys, obviously. I only got to pick 3 researchers and I picked my 3 favorites. So I wanted to end strong, so that's why I chose you guys.
Awesome.
So Brian and I were talking about your research. Actually, it's funny, Bobby. I was talking to someone else. This is like a few months ago. We were talking about the thymus. I call it the thymus research, the thymus project. That's what we're calling it. That's what. And can you tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing? And actually, Brian and I were talking about some of this stuff. So I thought maybe Brian would love to know more about it too.
Right. Yeah, and and maybe I'll just kind of mention how I got started in it a bit, and like I'm a bioengineer by training, and I went to Georgia Tech and then UCLA for grad school, and it was out there where I was really I mean, I've been interested in aging research for quite a while, but I got to know a super centenarian researcher there. So somebody who would go around kind of interviewing people 110 or greater, so kind of the oldest old, and trying to tease out what enables their exceptional longevity. And you know, like I got to participate in an autopsy of the world's oldest person when she passed away at UCLA. I believe she was 116. But there was a group of researchers in LA that included Dr. Fay, and you know, so I got to know him through that, and you know, just over the span of a few years, you know, I had been in communication with him, and you know, and he's just a brilliant, brilliant scientist, and you know, I eventually just approached him, and you know, but he's also kind of, you know, a very busy guy, right? He's also the chief scientific officer of 21st Century Medicine, which is probably the world's kind of foremost kind of leading cryobiology laboratory that's based in the LA area. So I approached Greg and just asked him, you know, is there any other kind of project that you would want to pursue if you had some extra bandwidth, you know, if I could help you, if you had any extra resources. And so it was kind of through that meeting that I learned of his work with thymus regeneration. And you know, and maybe for background there, the thymus is a part of your immune system. So it's your thymus is it's kind of located right above your heart, and it's what trains all of your immune cells when you're young and teaches them what to tolerate or what to attack. And but with everybody, around middle age, your thymus starts to atrophy, or it starts to degrade, and it gets replaced by fatty tissue. And you know, and so everybody, by even by the age of 50 or so, your thymus is replaced by non-functional fatty tissue. And so people kind of can do okay with that. You can obviously kind of survive your 50s and 60s and 70s. But it's generally not until kind of your mid 70s when people experience a significant collapse of the immune system. And you know, and that's because of all the immune cells that are educated in your thymus. They kind of survive in they're long lived, so they survive in your immune system for, you know, maybe a couple of decades. But you know, after that, then you there's a tremendous kind of loss in late life of this diversity of different antigens that your immune system can detect, and that's associated with this major spike in risk of death or risk of morbidity and mortality. You know, and so Greg, you know, he actually had experimented with methods to regenerate the thymus in older people using already approved agents, and he did this originally on himself. So he was self-experimenting, you know, and he published the results of that on his own, and you know, that was now more than 20 years ago, you know, but you know, that work, he knew the methods that he had were sound. You know, he had demonstrated in his own experiment, but it was just something that he hadn't been able to kind of pursue, you know, on his own. So you know, when he met, you know, he was like, Bobby, I just feel like I have blood on my hands if I don't pursue this. You know, so it was kind of through that meeting that we banded together to form Intervene Immune, you know, and to launch human clinical trials focused on that area.
Bobby, that's fascinating research that you guys are doing. I'm interested in the thymus gland. I'm kind of in this longevity field just as a hobby. It's always been kind of part of my life since I got out of college when I read the first life extension book put out by the Shawls. But I'm very fascinated by the study of peptides, especially certain peptides that are helping to regenerate the thymus gland, like thymosin alpha 1 or TB4, I guess, or TB500,
Mm-hmm.
and epitalon, some of these other, and even to some extent melatonin. So I'm fascinated that we're just kind of at the cutting edge of some of this really great research.
Yeah, that's a great point. And sorry, what's your name?
My name is Brian.
Brian. Okay, great. Yeah, Brian, that's a great question and a great kind of observation. I mean, yeah, there are interesting peptides out there. Like in the TRIM protocol, you're probably already aware. You know, we use growth hormone, and we use a few other agents beyond that, you know, in concert with it. But there are other peptides out there, or there are other kind of agents out there that are pretty intriguing. And you mentioned thymosin alpha 1. Yeah, that certainly kind of qualifies. Epitalin, I agree. Melatonin, you know, I mean, it's something people use all the time, right? But it does have very, very interesting properties. And just in general, there are different secretagogues out there that they may kind of mimic or simulate some of the effects of growth hormone. You know, one interesting part of that also is that some of those agents are much lower cost, you know, than growth hormone. You know, like one downside, you know, a bit of a downside with our treatment today is it's pretty expensive. Like the medications, the diagnostics, yeah, it's not, you know, they're not, you know, that inexpensive today. You know, but you know, some of these other kind of peptides or secretagogues may have similar effects, and they may be much more accessible, much kind of lower cost. But I think this also kind of gets at, you know, we're really just kind of scratching the surface, you know, in terms of what we can do. You know, like the initial TRIM trial, you know, was notable in that we show we were able to regenerate the immune system, and we had this this first where we were able to reverse biological age, reverse epigenetic age by a few years in already very healthy older people. You know, and that was kind of after, you know, many other agents, kind of these putative longevity drugs like metformin and rapamycin and others have been tested and nothing really worked. But the TRIM cocktail, you know, seemed to have a significant effect. But you know, but now, you know, we're doing the TRIM X trial. So that's a larger study, about 100-person trial where we're enrolling people from anywhere. We're based in Los Angeles, but we're able to enroll people from anywhere across the U.S. By kind of telemedicine. You know, but you know, we're aiming to kind of replicate the findings from TRIM, where we're able to reverse epigenetic age significantly. But then we're also hoping to expand on that. You know, we're hoping to kind of amplify those effects. You know, I mean, I feel like we're really just kind of, yeah, just getting started. You know, and maybe one example of that is like in the original TRIM trial, when we saw this intriguing effect, and it's a 12-month treatment where, you know, from months 9 to 12, there appeared to be an acceleration of the epigenetic age reversal, like in those last 3 months of treatment. So it really kind of begs the question, you know, well, what if we go to 15 months, you know, or what if we go to 18 months with treatment? You know, would we double the effects we saw in TRIM? You know, so so yeah, questions like that are kind of what we're getting at with TRIM-X, and we're certainly really excited to start kind of using additional compounds, you know, in concert with it, and yeah, and just kind of, you know, testing a variety of different approaches.
Were any of those compounds NAD plus or NAC or acetylcarnitine, or were they all kind of some kind of delivery drug or peptide?
We don't use NAD compounds. I mean, a lot of people are on kind of sirtuin activators, or like an NMN or NR. People take that kind of at the same time as being on treatment. But no, they're not like a core part of the TRIM protocol. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned the security, which are amazing, and the cost and how effective they are, like ipamorelin, um, uh, or GHRPs. You know, some of these, or the MOD 129s, or the CJC 1295s. These things can be very powerful together at a quarter of the cost and less side effects.
I agree that they're interesting, you know, and like the cost. Yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, I think the efficacy is the uncertainty, though, right? You know, like I don't think
Yes.
that, you know, and I mean that's an important part of it, you know, like maybe, you know, but you know, maybe the most important part, you know. So, but I do agree that they're really kind of intriguing compounds, and it's great that there are agents like that out there that yeah, I mean, they may rival some of the same efficacy, but I mean they're pretty unproven today. But yeah, just the fact that they're out there and they're available at lower cost, it's exciting, and hopefully over the next kind of 3 to 5 years, we'll really have some answers as to what how effectively those agents can be used too.
So we
I
have.
think I finally got on. If you can hear me, let me know.
We
I can
can.
hear you.
Hi, Greg.
How about that? The mysteries of Twitter have been solved. Now all we have to do is solve the mysteries of aging.
Right.
So
No problem.
I realize we're getting a little bit late in the game here, but it sounds like Bobby's been doing an able job of fielding the questions so far.
He's doing great. How you doing, Greg? How's it going? I can't
I'm
believe
doing
you're.
very well.
I can't believe you're here.
Well, I can't believe I wasn't here before, but I've never used Twitter before, and I didn't realize that you couldn't connect via laptop. So I had to reset up an account just for my cell phone in order to join everybody. But I guess a little bit better late than never.
Welcome.
Thank you. So I was hearing some of the commentary about the motivation for supporting us earlier, and I really appreciate all of that. So I hope that by working together, we can accomplish good things for everybody.
I certainly think that what you guys are doing is absolutely amazing for the health of everyone. And I've been fascinated with your research for a long time, and I'm a total fan. And I mean, if I can do a little bit from over here to help you guys do something huge like you're doing, I'm really excited about this. So yeah, I'm a total fan of you guys.
Well, thank you so much, Adam. It's so good to know people and to meet people like you. We really appreciate your support.
Greg, I wanted to ask you, how does stem cell therapy play into maybe the regeneration of the thymus gland?
Yeah, so there's several dimensions to that question. So the first dimension is that the thymus is fairly similar to other stem cell stories or different depending upon how you look at it. So the way it's similar is that if you take the example of muscle regeneration, for example, if I stick a bunch of needles into your arm at the age of 90, and then I take a biopsy of your arm to see how well your muscle repairs itself, it does a pretty poor job. But if I do the same experiment on you when you're 20, your muscle may repair itself to the point where I can hardly even tell that you got jabbed. And the reason for that difference is that in your old muscle, you have satellite stem cells. They're called satellite cells. They're stem cells that regenerate the muscle. They're sitting there in your muscle ready to go, but they don't have the right signals to do anything. So you don't get a repaired muscle. But if you get, let's say, a transfusion of young blood in sufficient quantities or perform similar maneuvers, then you'll discover, at least if you're similar to rat studies that have been done, that your muscle can now regenerate using the same stem cells it already had, but it lacked the signals that it needed. So there may be losses of stem cells with age as well, but the point I'm driving at is that stem cell function depends on the commandments that it gets from the rest of the body as well, namely the signals as to whether it should be active or inactive. And just like the muscle, you have similar issues with signaling in the thymus. So the difference is that the thymus receives signals to shut itself down about the time you're going through puberty. And mouse studies have shown that if you transplant stem cells from adults into older mice, it does not regrow the thymus. And even if you transplant stem cells from young mice into old mice, it still does not regenerate the thymus. You can get the thymus to regenerate if you transplant cells from something like a 3-day-old mouse. If you do it at the age of 2 days, it doesn't work. If you do it at the age of 4 days, it doesn't work. It's got to be exactly the right window. And that's because during early development, prepubescent development, your thymus is programmed to grow. So all the stem cells involved are turned on and ready to go. but then there's a switch that's activated when you go through puberty that shuts everything down. And so you can put in all the stem cells that you want, but just like the old muscle, they're not going to get the signals that they need to turn back on again. So overcoming that is doable, but it's going to take more time. And that's one of the things we'd like to do in the future. There are also some tricks that we might be able to use to convince the stem cells that you already have to reactivate using some pretty sneaky techniques that I'm not going to discuss right now. But it's very, very speculative and it might not work. So we'd like to get a little bit more backing before we go down that route. So for the moment, we have a technology that seems to work now. We'd like to enhance it. We'd like to find alternatives for it. But the thing that drives us kind of is that everybody's dying of aging right now. And, we could devote ourselves to something that would take 5 or 10 years to develop. But what do we do about people that need help immediately? And so we're diving into what works right now. And we're still keeping all of these other modalities in mind for deployment later on. But so your question is perfect. Stem cells regenerate and repair just about everything. But this is a very special case. And so it's going to require some very special techniques. So we're actually looking at several different ways of dealing with that kind of thing. But for the moment, we're just doing the obvious thing, which is to try to recapitulate the state in which your body was when you were young and your thymus was in a more growth-oriented situation. So when you're young, you have a lot of growth hormone and you have a lot of DHEA, and we're supplying those back, and we're finding that that is sufficient to generate enough thymus regeneration to repopulate your body with young T cells. And so that's very exciting, at least based on our TRIM trial, which of course is very small number of people, et cetera, et cetera. There's all kinds of caveats, but that's the angle we're following.
And what about some of the peptides? You came in late, but what about some of the peptides like alpha-1 one, and that might target the thymus that that in conjunction with growth hormone?
Yeah. So thymosin alpha-1 is a peptide made by the thymus. I'm not sure that it actually does anything to regenerate the thymus. The thymus makes it, and then it goes on and does other good things. But whether it actually helps the thymus, I'm not sure about. The trouble with all of those peptides is that none of them are FDA approved, and it's going to require a lot of time, money, and effort to go through the process of looking at things like that in sufficient depth to get them into clinical use. So there are many interesting possibilities along the lines, those sorts of lines. But like I said, we're sort of engaging in a multi-tier approach to this, in which we start off with what we can do now, and then we work our way up to other things later. But yes, there are hormones that can stimulate thymus regeneration other than growth hormone that are more specific. But so far, nobody's been able to use them in a way that doesn't cause systemic toxicity. There have been people that have been looking at this for a long time, and they haven't really gotten to the finish line yet. So we agree with the idea. It's just a matter of when we can phase it in. So, of course, if we're able to succeed with what we're doing now, then of course we're going to bring in more and more powerful technologies as we're able to afford to do.
Well, say what you have on hand. What would be, and maybe you found this through your research, maybe the optimal time for a person to start, say, a growth hormone therapy or DHEA therapy? Would it be in their 60s or early 70s or even 50s, so they can get ahead of the curve?
That's an excellent question. We would dearly love to know the answer. I can tell you what we know so far. So our original trial was done with people who were 50 to 65. And within that age window, we did not find any difference in the ability to regenerate the thymus, or in the ability to generate new T cells, or in the ability to go backwards in biological time based on all these biological clocks of aging that we measured. So that's pretty exciting. And if you compare that to what you see in rat studies, rat studies say that if you intervene before the median lifespan is reached, which for humans is late 70s to basically late 70s, then you can totally regenerate the thymus. And if you wait longer than that, then you can partly regenerate the thymus, and you can still get a very powerful immune system benefits, but you don't do as well. So we think that the best time to intervene is as soon as possible, but not too soon. So to try to make some sense out of that statement, what I mean is I wouldn't recommend this for anybody under the age of 40, which is why the TRIM-X trial is only admitting people between the ages of 40 and 80. And if I had my guess, I would say that probably the optimum time to intervene is probably around 45 or so, 45 to 55, but we don't really know that. So it's speculation at this point. All I can say is that when I started this by doing experiments on myself when I was 46, and things seemed to work a little bit easier when I was 46 than when I was 56 or whatever. So I suspect that that things will be easier and faster and more complete if you're a little bit younger. But I think there's hope for people even out to the age of 80.
That's great, Greg. And hopefully those costs will come down that people can afford
Absolutely.
these kind of medications.
Absolutely. And there are many different ways of approaching that. And we have all of them in mind, really. So we have some pretty ambitious plans to aggressively lower the costs as soon as we possibly can, because we do realize that that's a barrier, and we want this available to everybody who's interested. So, yeah, I spent a lot of time looking at growth hormone releasers before we launched TRIM-X, because I was pretty optimistic that they would do the job, just as was brought up earlier. And for me, as a test subject, they did basically nothing. So I realize these things may work in some people, but the concern is they may not work in everybody. And so we can't really apply things to people that we're not really sure of. It has to work for everybody. And we may be able to figure out how to get there. But that pathway is not as promising as some of the other approaches I think that we can use to bring down the costs at the moment. So we will see. Our mind is open to everything.
Were these like oral ceretagogues, or were they like the ones that we see now, like ipamorelin, cimarelin, and things of that nature?
It was sermorelin is what I tried. I started off with the oral version, and that didn't work. And so I went to the injectable version. That didn't work either. So I gave up. Of course, if I had 6 months to work on it, I might have been able to figure out a way around the problems. But we were really under the gun to get the TRIM-X trial going, and it wasn't very promising. So I had to move forward.
This is excellent research.
Well, thank you. We do our best.
So where are you guys located, and how does someone get into, say, a particular trial for the next go around?
So we're located in Southern California. It's a place called the Lundquist Institute. It's the Biolabs Institute at the Lundquist greater campus. And we're still enrolling. So the way to get access to the treatment would be to email either me or Bobby Brook, and we can look at your situation, see if you're qualified to join.
Yeah, and we and just for a little more clarity, you could email us, or at our website, interveneimmune.com. There's a contact form, there, so you could register there. And usually the first step for everybody is completing a brief online survey. It's like a 5 or 10 minute survey, and that helps us kind of understand if you would qualify for the TRIM-X trial. But at the time we're only enrolling people in the U.S. But you can enroll from anywhere across the U.S. By kind of telemedicine. There are some more intensive diagnostic, like the thymus imaging is only available if you come to LA for enrollment. But we are able to enroll anybody from across the U.S. right now.
This is great. So can we let's open up the mic for some, because I want to be mindful, because I know Greg and Bobby they're on a tight schedule.
Yep.
If anybody wants to grab the mic, please request. We can go ahead and then, because I don't want to, keep them here, because we can in space. You guys know in the Twitter Spaces we can go hours. I've got
Right.
yeah, I've done 8 hours on a Twitter Spaces, so it's kind of,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
And we talked about everything.
That's cool. Yeah. So if anyone has a burning question, please feel free to ask it, and Bobby and I will try to answer you.
I have a question. I'm so fascinated by this research. When I was very young, I read a book that was put out by a Dr. Kerr, who was a sports medicine doctor, who was one of the first. I don't know if he worked at UCLA or USC, but he was the first to implement growth hormone into the athletic world, sports athletes. And what he saw was the repairing of injuries, a shorter amount of time, in some instances, increase in strength, but just the overall ability to repair the athlete and in shorter amount of time, and that to me was fascinating. And he got a lot of heat from it, I mean,
Yep.
adding growth hormone. But what Greg or Bobby, what are you seeing as some of the most exciting, things on the forefront in this research?
Well, one of the things is that the immune system is tied into a lot of different things. So it's useful in its own right, because we have to have an immune system or we'll die. We know that from what happens to HIV patients, AIDS patients. We also know the immune system is linked into other aging centers. So, for example, if you improve immune system function by transplanting thymuses into old mice, the thymuses re-involute pretty quickly, but before they do, they rejuvenate very important aspects of brain signaling, and they rejuvenate the ability of liver cells to divide like they're supposed to, and they normalize thyroid function, and they do all kinds of other things like that. So regenerating the thymus as a mechanism of sort of reversing aging is exciting, and we'd like to know more about that. And that's kind of what we've talked about. But there are other things that you can do with the thymus once you regenerate it. So the thymus has really two jobs. It has the ability to instruct your T cells on how to kill things that want to kill you, but it also has a second type of job, which is to make sure that those T cells themselves do not kill you. So that's called negative selection. So positive selection selects against your enemies, and and negative selection selects against autoimmune diseases. And it turns out that once you regrow the thymus, there are ways of talking the thymus into changing its mind about whether you are a foreign entity or not. There's also ways of talking the thymus into changing its mind about whether a transplanted kidney is foreign object or not. So there have been animal studies that have proven that using the thymus, you can actually accept organ transplants without rejecting them and without the need for lifelong immunosuppression. You can also reverse established autoimmune diseases such as type 1 diabetes. Nobody is doing this in humans. So we intend to do both of those things as soon as possible, once we get just a little bit further down the line. And we have some interesting collaborators and resources that we can draw on that would allow us to do studies along those lines. So if we could do that, we could cure like 80 different autoimmune diseases and solve the transplant rejection problems, which sounds very, very ambitious, and it's very visionary. And if we were on Wall Street, I'd have to tell you all kinds of stuff about forward-looking statements and things like that. But it's one of our goals, and it's one of those exciting things that we think that we can make a unique contribution to. There are other exciting things involving combination treatments. So what we do will not necessarily get rid of every problem of aging. So, for example, Alzheimer's disease might be caused by clogging up of pores in the bone that underlies your brain, that connects your brain is sitting on bone, and that some of that bone has holes in it that penetrate into your nasal passages so you can smell. So your olfactory nerves go through there, and those pores are a little bit bigger than they have to be for the nerves to pass through. And it turns out that those pores get smaller as we get older, and that tends to predict whether you're going to get Alzheimer's disease or not. So our treatment probably doesn't affect that. But what if we were to combine our treatment with treatments for that kind of problem? Or what if we were combine our treatments with other treatments that have independent mechanisms of rejuvenation in humans? I think the sky is the limit for that sort of stuff. There are many other very exciting things coming down the pike. And I think all of these things are compatible with each other. And so, incredibly exciting possibilities for combination therapies coming along the line.
Is there anything that people have at disposal now that could help? If you want to say, keep the thymus young, if it's melatonin or vitamin D or red light, any of these things that are kind of mainstream that people would know about that they could do.
I wish I could give you a decent answer to that question, but I really can't. There are all kinds of things that you can do to make the T cells that you already have work better, but I'm just not aware of a lot of things that have been proven to regrow the thymus. There's actually a very offbeat things that we're going to be looking at in the future that I can't talk about right now, but for the most part, I can't think of too many things that are out there. There's certainly nothing that's been demonstrated. That there's all kinds of possibilities from animal research that have a long way to go before they make it into human application. And those are the sorts of things that we'll look at eventually. But as for right now, I'm not aware of anything. There are people that believe that if you thump your chest with your hand, that might regenerate your thymus. I have not seen any substantiation of that. As for red light, I don't know that red light is going to even go through your chest wall to do anything for the thymus. And will red light go through all that fat, that's already there? It's hard to say. So um, I must say, we would love to learn about anything along those lines that would help, because we would readily use that in combination with what we're doing, or even instead of what we're doing, if it works better. Whatever works is great. But I'm just frankly not aware of anything, unfortunately.
Well, even keeping the T cells healthy is
Yeah,
is a start.
that's huge. That's huge, and there's a raft of things. There's probably 20 different ways of giving your T cells a little bit of help. But a lot of people know about those, and so as a general rule, I focus on things that nobody else is paying attention to, because I figure that everything else is being taken care of by somebody else. So I may be a little bit ignorant about alternatives like that, because they're great and they're very important, but for me they're a little bit beside the point, because all of those things will eventually fail when you run out of T cells after about the age of 62. Between the ages of 62 and 78, you lose about 98% of your T cells' ability to recognize foreign antigens. So even if you goose up the 2% that you have left, that's never going to compare to having 100%. So I'm kind of laser focused on the 100% stuff, even at the expense of not being totally up on all of the stuff that you can do to goose up your T cells right now. But if you look, you'll find information like that. So I would just refer you to your own research capabilities, looking online for stuff like that. But you'll find stuff. There's definitely stuff out there, and it's very good. And but I just can't keep up with everything, unfortunately.
And just one of the blessings of the TRIM trial was the results that we obtained, where we're able to reverse epigenetic aging significantly, in addition to regenerating the thymus, they received a lot of attention. So kind of thousands of people reached out to us, hundreds of physicians, who want to implement the treatment, and they want to kind of combine it with other kind of interventions. So I mean, that's something we're also very focused on, and kind of finding ways that that other treatments will kind of complement what we're doing. But we are kind of very focused on the thymus, very focused on the immune system. I mean, like, along the lines of what Greg mentioned, right, to, I think, responding to this question initially. I mean, that was really kind of what blew us away and blew others away, was just how profound the effects, when you're able to focus on the thymus and thymus regeneration. It seemed to have really body wide kind of, it showed this systemic rejuvenation, and for everyone who may not be familiar, I mean, we not only regenerate the immune system and had this effect on epigenetic aging, but it showed enhancement of the bone marrow. Kidney function appeared to be improved. We had people that there was hair darkening, like their families were reporting to them that their hair was darkening, which was something we were not looking for whatsoever, in the trial, in the initial study. So it was pretty, some of the results were pretty inspiring. So yeah, no, we're really excited about kind of Trim-X and other kind of adding complementary treatments to even see if we can enhance those effects.
Well, you guys have, growth hormone's been out a long time now. I guess really late '80s with Eli Lilly and Gentech, Eli Lilly, with their first version. And there's been multiple companies that have made it over the years. Have you found one better than the other? Like the Israelis, I know, make one, Omitrope, Humantrope. There's a lot of different ones. Have you found one that's better than the other, or they're all kind of the same amino acid sequence? It doesn't matter.
We have not compared different brands to each other so far.
So
yeah, that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I think they are probably pretty so. I mean, although they're kind of biosimilars and they may have slightly different, like, glycosylation profiles, but we would expect them to be pretty similar. And we're currently using Omnitrope, in the Trim-X trial. So.
Oh, okay.
And we use Omnitrope for a few reasons, but one of the reasons is we can get it kind of inexpensively. So we're trying.
Yeah, right. That's about to
We're
say,
trying to save people as much money as possible.
Because Humantrope or some of those other ones are super expensive.
Yes, exactly. Prohibitive, basically. So yeah. So we like them. It seems that seems to work, but we're open. We actually considered another brand recently because they offered us a big discount, but they ultimately decided that there was some kind of regulatory problem with them doing that. So they could offer it to people under 65 and not people over 65, and we didn't really want to get into that kind of a problem of having two different growth hormones used in the same study. So we stuck with the one that we know best. But that's a good question. By the way, as Bobby was mentioning, there are physicians that are interested in working with us. We were approached by a very intriguing clinic recently that has some facilities available to us that would allow us to make additional measurements if we cooperate with them. So we're definitely interested in working with doctors to sort of deploy the technology as we can.
So when when someone's going through a particular trial, do they have to do, say, quarterly or semi-annually blood tests? The evaluation to check, say, if IGF-1 is up, or do they have to go through those kind of certain blood tests or testing?
Yeah. So basically, we have a protocol that calls for blood to be tested frequently during the course of the treatment trial. And very often I will want to try to fine tune something or double check something. So I'll call for extra tests. which kind of devils Bobby a bit because he's got it all computerized, and I mess up his computer tables sometimes. But yeah, we test people intensively because we really want to do a good job. We really want to make sure that this is as safe as it can possibly be and as effective as it can possibly be. And if that requires extra tests, then we ask the volunteer, because the volunteers are helping us with these costs, but they always love it. They always love more tests, and so we love it. They love it. So I would rather err on the side of knowing more than not knowing enough. So yeah, we do a lot of testing.
Yeah, and I think you should. I mean, that's the only way you're going to get the measurements to know what's working and what how effective things are.
You're absolutely right. So just as a sort of bone of contention, or just as a sort of a point, there are physicians that have used growth hormone to treat aging in the past. But do they do the kind of monitoring that we do? I don't think so. And we monitor all kinds of things. This turns out to be a very complicated business. We're using multiple medications. We're using DHEA and metformin to block the side effects of growth hormone. And there are all kinds of issues that come up with respect to interactions between these things, and also interactions with different medical conditions that some of the people have. So I've had to do a lot of homework on various medical conditions I didn't really know much about before we went into this, in order to decide, first of all, if somebody could be let into the trial, but second of all, if they are let into the trial, how we can get around whatever special issues they may have. So far, that's been really highly successful. The only people that we really haven't let in are very few in number, and mostly they're people that either have a high risk of cancer or have had cancer in the past. Actually, there have been a couple people that have applied for admission that have been found to have cancer before they entered the trial. And so we referred them to treatment. And because of their desire to get into the trial, they learned that they had a problem very early in the game, which makes it much easier for them to get a successful outcome. If you're going to have cancer, you want to discover that as soon as possible. But there are people that can't get in. There are people that don't qualify. One of the things is that you have to have a certain IGF-1 level to get in, and if you don't have it and you can't get it up, then you can't get into the trial, because we don't think you would benefit from the treatment, at least not fully benefit if you're not in a certain position already. So there are some
Greg, would that be on the low side or the high side of the IGF-1?
It's actually both. So yeah, it's a matter of safety and efficacy. If you're too low, you're probably not going to manufacture enough IGF-1 to do yourself any good. If you're too high, then you probably don't want to elevate it beyond a certain point. So yeah, we're looking at the both sides of the coin.
Wow, it is 10:01. I know I wanted to be mindful of Greg and Bobby's time. I appreciate you both for being here, and so you guys, so as everyone in the space can understand that the importance of their research, and the fact that Adam is the reason why all this is happening today. So I want to thank you both. Can you guys continue talking, or
I'm probably
going
to have to run pretty soon. If there's a couple of extra burning questions, I'll hang on for that. But I'm going to have to leave pretty soon. But I agree with you. I want to salute Adam for making this possible, for his kindness and generosity, and just for his interest in doing the right thing. I think one of the things that's just as important as anything else is wanting to do the right thing. Having a good heart and going for the right goal. So I think Adam deserves some kudos on all of those fronts.
Oh, definitely. I'm so excited to hear the collaboration between you guys. Exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. I'm not hearing a lot of.
Thank you, Greg.
Okay, I'm not hearing a lot of urgent questions right now. So
Oh, just one last question, Greg,
Okay.
because I'm the geek here
Okay.
with all this stuff.
That's no problem.
Is the DHA delivered in like a trochee that you guys do, or is it just the old-fashioned kind of orals?
We just do it oral at the moment. There could be some issues with that. There may be some reduction in the amount that enters the bloodstream due to processing in the liver and things like that, but we just use enough to overcome that. So it doesn't seem to be an issue. All right, everybody. So
Great.
if there are no
Thank
further
you.
questions, thanks for everybody's interest. We really appreciate it. I think that
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Bobby.
you're so
thank you.
welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks so
guys
much.
so much for joining us on here. I really do appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to hop on Twitter with us and talk to us. I didn't ask any questions because I was just listening so much. I just really enjoyed listening to you guys talk. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. And everybody have a great weekend and have a great future life. And we'll try to do our best to contribute to that.
Thank you. We appreciate you
Thanks a lot,
both.
Tom.
Okay,
Thanks, Adam.
bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Wow. I was like, see, I knew Brian would ask all the questions because this is what he likes to read up on. Right,
Yeah,
Brian?
Oh my God, people know I'm the geek of geeks, man.
Brian, I had a list of questions and I just put it down. You asked so many amazing questions that I felt like I'm not needed at this point. I will wait and just listen to you guys talk. It was so nice.
Yeah, sorry, Adam. I mean, these guys were. I didn't even know what they were working on until they came in and they were talking about thymus, and I was just going to shoot out of the gate with, stuff that was, burning in my brain.
Well,
So,
yeah, those questions
yeah.
were very good. Yeah, I much better than the ones I had ready, just in case there wasn't questions to ask. I wanted to make sure that people heard what they were doing and what they have been discovering. And yours were just so on point. I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna sit back, relax, and enjoy this because I was fanboying over here, guys. I'm sorry.
My
So-
sci-fi novels, kind of were like the, life after life. How long can you extend, life? I mean, I was shocked, just being a little boy that the life expectancy was for a male was only 75 years. I said, "Oh, I got 75 years." When you're 5, you think that's forever. When you get older, you're like, man, things, close quick. And so there you have
Yeah,
it.
you
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
you add to that the psychological perception of time. When you're young, our brains tend to extend what an hour may feel like a week, and then once we hit the age, I think it's about 35, it goes the opposite way, and those last 40 years that we have left goes super fast, based on the psychological research that I've read. My background's in psychology, and so like when we talk about the perception that we have of time, it may feel like a long time, but every years now go by super fast. When I was younger, I remembered a car ride of 3 hours feeling like it took like, ages. And now that same car ride just feels like, a couple minutes. You know what I mean? Like that perception of time is so important because when we get to this certain point, like we don't have as much time here as we may want to have to do what we want to do. And when we get these guys that are doing this research that have the potential to allow us to, like for me as an artist, to create more beautiful works. I don't want my art to become famous after I'm dead. I'd like my art to be meaningful while I'm here, so I would like to see that appreciation when it comes about. I don't want to, I'll be gone and then 100 years later, someone's like, oh yeah, he made a good painting. You know what I mean? So I would love it if I could see, that progression. And if we all had time to master our talents, that's like the amazing part to me. Is if this longevity research pans out and that we as a species have the ability to master our talents, so our scientists become experts beyond experts, and our artists become true master craftsmen, and so on and so forth. That to me is just such an amazing science fiction thought. I'm just amazed by it.
Yeah, I am too. And just increase the quality of your life that you have now. That to me, it's not so much extending it and live as long as you can. But if people have an autoimmune disease or they're fighting against something, how can medicine improve their life now?
When he was talking about that, autoimmune diseases run in my family, and I know a lot of people who suffer from. I myself may have rheumatoid arthritis, the doctor said, and when he said that, that gave me like a little bit more hope than I had previously, because my idea was that if we could live longer, someone else could potentially find those cures. Because if we're here long enough, someone else could find that cure to improve our quality of life. And then he's talking like that cure might be in the pipeline with what he's already doing, and that would just be amazing. Like already we're supporting this guy because he's amazing. Like their research is phenomenal, and if his research could then lead to the cure of 80 other different disorders and diseases down the road, like that's money well spent in my book. I mean, that's time well spent. Like I've spent a year on this project, and so like if I can get someone to bid on this in the future, like so that we could support them, I feel like that's a year well spent. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
I love that. Yes, definitely. Definitely. So when you reach out to Greg, what did he say to you? Like, I want to know. I'm kind of curious. Like, do you want to, because your story behind this is so, you're right. It didn't even dawn on me because I know Greg from the other, because he's an immortalist like I am. And so usually I'm supposed to hear, he joins our Zoom chat this coming Saturday, next Saturday, actually, we're doing a chat. So tell us how you when you contacted him, what happened?
I was ignored the first time because I'm nobody. I'm not a well-known artist. I'm really striking out in this field. I do commissions. I'm not shown in galleries yet, but hopefully that's going to change. So my point is that who's this random guy sending me an email? And it kind of didn't really resonate at all. And then but I was so grateful that Dr. Levin gave me a chance, because when I was able to prove that I can do this, I was able to raise about $9,000 for Dr. Levin. That when I was able to do that, it opened the doors to get me to talk with Dr. Sinclair. It opened the doors that intervene immune, answer my calls, so to speak. Like they had sent me one little email. They're like, "Wow, that's really fascinating. That's really cool." And then there was nothing. I sent him a follow up, and then there was like no response for like a month. And I was like, okay, maybe they're not interested. And then after I had the success with Dr. Sinclair and Dr. Levin, they still weren't, I think, 100% on board yet, because, like I said, I don't have a track record. And then so I showed them. I said, look, here's my auction. I transferred this money to them. I was able to do this, and they were like, okay, he's not just trolling us, I guess. Like, this guy's real. He's really trying to help us. And then we started exchanging emails regularly, and they were on board. So I think that it was just a matter of me having to build up a resume so that people believed me. I wasn't just some random guy trying to I'm a prince from Nigeria kind of thing.
Well, I'm so glad. I feel like nothing is an accident. People meet for a reason, and I feel like just meeting you and it just, you don't even know how well I know these two guys. That's what I'm saying. It's just so awesome that just ironically, I'm just in awe, and I'm hoping the whole concept, the whole idea, and I want to promote this and continue promoting this, is the NFTs longevity project. I want to recruit new artists besides yourself, Adam, and it all started with you.
And Adam, I'm fascinated by your story because it just shows how the universe works together. You knew nothing about NFTs, and you weren't intimidated. You had a calling to learn about it, and then you had an interest in the work of these guys and other PhDs, and it's just like that. That's the things that are like that wow factor in life. You're bringing Eureka together with that that awesome, if whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? When you realize like, oh, I did this all on my own, and then you meet with these guys that you're working together.
Yeah, I think it's crazy. I can't take credit, say like I did it all on my own, because I don't know if that's fair, because like yes, I reached out to a lot of people, and I painted it by myself. But I mean, these things don't happen in a vacuum. It's always about people you meet along the way. And the bids that I've got on my project are because of a friend of a friend of a friend knew a guy that knew a guy kind of thing. You know, like it's not. I didn't just post it as an NFT and then someone bid on it and I gave him money. There's no way that would happen. Like I said, nobody knows me. So like I don't want to sell it as like I did this by myself. I really appreciate this community that we have in these NFT spaces. And I really appreciate, you know, people like Tanya that I just met in like Geo's space the other day. I think Stu and Geo were having a space and Tanya was a co-host with them.
Yeah, I just invited them to join us, actually. I'm hoping they can pop in and say some
Yeah.
words. Like we just met.
Yeah, like I just met Tanya,
Well,
and it opened up this this opportunity. Like I did spaces with Dr. Levin before, and it didn't have quite this format. And I wish it had. I wish I had met Tanya earlier because this was perfect. I'd love just sitting there and listen to, you know, Brian, you just ask these wonderful questions. So in the future, if I run these projects, we're definitely going to have to do this kind of format again because I think this was perfect to get that information out there.
I really meant by saying you didn't have any fear, you know, to start NFT. I'm intimidated, even though I'm an artist. I'm a photographer by training and as my hobby. I'm kind of intimidated by the NFT, and sometimes you have to just kind of get out of your skin and say, "Just do it, man." And then you meet people.
Why don't you guys do this with me? The NFT longevity project. Just like have artists. I mean, it's kind of like commission work, but it's creating a whole project around it. And you guys should make some kind of a percentage, a small percentage, or you can donate the whole thing. But it's the story behind it. And for you, Brian, you oh my God, if everyone in this space follow Brian, look at some of his pictures. It's incredible. I've been looking at your work, by the way. So
thank you, Tanya.
you know, you could use this. You can use some of your work. Have people to help you. We can create a community on NFTs for longevity projects.
I think
because I know a lot of researchers.
Yeah, I think those are things that are a possibility. You know, the reason I did it the way I did it, for example, by myself, is because the cost of living here in Laos is so low that I could do 100%, and I felt that would be a way to build a track record to show people that if you give me money, it's going to go where I say it's going to go. Because I didn't think that if I took a percentage as an artist at the time, that people would trust me with the large sums that I was trying to pull in. I mean, they're large for me. For example, what I was able to give to Dr. Sinclair was about $20,000. That is more money than I would make here in Laos in like 5 years. So like, who's going to trust some guy living in Laos with $20,000? Here you are. That's 5 years of wages. Who's going to trust me? But if I could show people like, look, I'm giving 100% of this to them. I'm paying the gas fees out of my pocket. I think I could build that trust on the community that for future projects, if I said, can I have 5% administration costs to pay for my bills? People could trust me like, yeah, he puts it where he says it's going to go. And so that's why I did things the way I did. And in the future, if there is some kind of longevity project where there's a, you know, commission-based work that is continuing this dream that I have, I mean, that's something that we should all look into because, you know, an artist can't afford to always give 100%. I mean, we need to get paid for our work too, you know? So I do appreciate those kind of works, those kind of projects as well.
Well, I actually, yours is this type of format, this has been my goal and my vision. Like you helped made it come true for me. And I told Lily about this back in June when I first met her. You know, I said I gotta, you know, I really believe in funding longevity research and being there because everything they discover is going to help us for years to come. You know, but you have to fund these research, and a lot of them they're private research. I mean, those are the ones that would grow quicker, faster, without having being, you know, like under the government,
Greg,
pretty much. So I feel that
Greg's story about testing on himself, I'm like, you're a freaking hero, man. I mean, the courage it takes to inject yourself with things, you know, because you believe in it so much, to test it, that biohacking, if you will, or self-testing is just, to me, like, that's a level of courage that I don't think I personally have, to be like, I want to save the human race. Let me go ahead and put these chemicals in my body and test it out on myself so I can show other people, look, it's safe. Like, I appreciate that level of passion that he has for this research.
I know. God bless him. I just remember, reading up so much of his research that's so important that, just like I said, everything just, I don't know, it just all came together, and I thank you, Adam, and yeah, I'm gonna write a press release for your project, so you have a history, you can kind of like in the future when we do the next project, we can have something to look back at. Another one is I'm hoping that this type of format, this Twitter space, NFTs for longevity projects, I would love to have a space like this where we bring up artists. If artists want to be part of it, they can pretty much give us a pitch. And Adam, it all starts with you.
Well, I'm really happy if this goes good places, because I think that cryptocurrencies has so much potential for charitable work, because people can track exactly where the money goes across the blockchain. You know exactly where each penny is sent into which wallet. And I think that gives a lot of faith for the donors, so they can see where they're sending their money. And so I think that this is such a valuable technology in terms of helping people. And right now people, we're buying NFTs, we're buying stuff for fun. And we need that, because this is like the first bit of fun that has really entered the crypto space. And this will bring attention to it. So it will bring more people interested in the crypto blockchain, get more people on board here. And then as we get these next charitable projects coming up, people are going to be like, oh, I've got some extra money in here. Let me go ahead and transfer that. And then you have what they call crypto whales, which are people with just large amounts of crypto that they're just sitting on. And they're not doing anything with it because, maybe they don't want to, pull it out because then they have to pay taxes. So just leave it there. Well, but they have causes that they want to help. So if we present them with the causes that they believe in, maybe they can send, a 1 ETH over or 2 ETH over, and then we put it into a cause 100%, or, whatever the agreement is with the artist or the project. And that way they can feel like they're contributing to society in a meaningful way. And I don't know, and it helps people. I mean, longevity is huge, man. Regenerative medicine, we always talk about the word longevity, but really this is regenerative medicine. This is medicine that's going to keep us healthier longer. And that's what it's about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Adam, you made a really good point by some of these bigger guys, sitting on a lot of crypto. And that's where you see cities, kind of pitching these guys to invest in their city. Of Miami, I think, is one of the first to do, kind of a crypto for their city. Other cities are talking about it. But what really would get some of these guys is longevity medicine or integrative medicine, to help those guys live longer and kind of enjoy everything they work for.
Yeah, I mean,
and help humanity in
that's
the
the thing, though. Some people, there's this philosophical divide, like only the rich people will have access to this kind of technology, but that's not true. If we can fund it to where it is mainstream, then the cost will go down, and that will open it up for everyone to have access to it, and that's my dream. And so, I mean, but to get there, we need these people with the large bank accounts to say, you know what, I believe in this too. I believe in what you're doing. Let's go ahead and help everyone. And if that also helps themselves, I'm okay with that.
Well, Adam, I just gotta say, I congratulate you for this success. I couldn't be happier than to be part of it. You know where I stand with charity. I am all for it. And if I could do anything with that art piece to be part of it as far as in donation, let me know. And, I'm with you. Again, this is what it's about, being able to help each other through each other, find a broad variety of people to come together and help for the right cause. Like you said, it's a lot of people out there with ETH. And these are exactly what these whales do. They sit around all these ETH because, like you said, they don't want to pay taxes on them. And yeah, some of these guys do good. I don't know if anybody knows, but tomorrow, they're having a whale party, and for people. Well, it was supposed to be Hickenut, but I don't know how that's going to turn out. But for all those out there, maybe there's an opportunity as well to reach those whales. But again, I gotta say, cause Brian, I don't know.
Can you pin that to the nest so we can have it, so everyone can look at it?
Yeah. Right now I'm driving, That's why I
Oh
didn't
no,
have
that's
it.
okay. I'll look
No,
for it
no,
in your.
yeah, but
I'll look for it.
yeah, I think I sent it to Adam and a few of the New Yorkers in the New York group, and it's gonna happen tomorrow. But again, it's gonna be a lot of whales, a lot of whales in this place. And I was invited, and I invited Adam because of what he does and what he stands for, which I respect a lot. But yeah, and like I said, Adam, it's nothing but love here, man. Let's make this happen, bro.
Thanks, brother.
And I
Go ahead,
think
Brian.
I think with press releases, guys, that it would even get you more attention because you're doing something or for the good, and that gets more attention to your art because people are like, oh, it's a win-win.
Yeah, I think that's very
and that's
valuable
what-
tool to have someone like Tanya, who's a publicist, to be able to help our causes. I think definitely a win-win.
Oh yeah, I've already outlined how the media is going to look at this because I wanted this to be seen a different way, but I'm also promoting it through all the different local channels also, because raising awareness nationwide is great, but really the local channels are the ones that I noticed that are not being pitched too often.
Well,
I made a list. I made a list.
If nothing comes from this project except for now people know about longevity and regenerative medicine, that's a start, because by getting people interested in the idea of regenerative medicine, of being healthier longer while we're here, just awareness alone is huge. And the cost that I would have had to have paid for example, if I had not done this art project, if I just wanted to get my message out there, would be cost prohibitive. There would be no way for me to pay for that kind of advertising. But then if I'm raising money for someone and then giving it to them, that creates a kind of a buzz, and people start talking about it, and people are like, wow, what's going on over here? Why is this guy doing this? And what is this about? And then they look into it. And I think that raises the awareness of the cause so that in the future, more people are interested in it. That to me is a win.
I agree. We got Stu here. Stu, how are you? It's all started with Stu.
Hey, I'm driving right now to my gig in the city, but no, Adam, congratulations on your stuff too. I'm with you guys all the way. If there's anything I could do, my part, I'm a big firm believer in health and definite longevity, and regenerative medicine is something I believe in too myself, because I'm a very holistical type of person that I take a lot of extracts and different type of supplements daily. One thing I take a lot is I don't know if you're familiar with it, it's called pignaginol. It's pine bark extract. That's something I take every day, me and my wife and stuff, and I feel like it's great. I used to have a lot of allergies and sinuses. Since I've been taking the pine bark extract with the red wine extract and grape seeds, it's like a little shake I take with my mochi every day. I feel like it helps a lot. My sinuses is gone. I got no more seasonal allergies. Like, I don't suffer like before, and I feel great. So if there's anything like that that's advancement on health and keeping people healthy, I'm all about it. And if when Blockquake takes off and stuff, I definitely would like to maybe have the corporate team take a look at your project, and maybe we could do something, some kind of charitable event.
Oh, that would be great.
That would
We're
be
there.
awesome.
I want to
awesome,
mint. I want to mint my first piece with Geo, and I will in my first piece to donate the whole thing to the project. Like, if it's just a little bit of gas fee, it's not a big deal. It would just be a good, as a good Genesis piece to just to donate it to a charity that I feel strongly about. I think that is something I like to do. Gio, you're gonna help me do that.
Man, you can count me in. And Adam, you see, like I said, we could do so much more. But I'm just very grateful that you have Tanya on your side, because she is one of a kind. I respect her a lot. And I know this right here is going to be big. I know that.
Thank you.
Definitely.
I also want to let everyone know I'm actually my next NFT artist I'm featuring is Geo, by the way.
Oh yeah, very good. Gio's a nice guy. He's helping a lot of
Nice,
people.
Gio.
Oh, Gio, I think you might be breaking up, or maybe it's me.
Well, it's about 10:30. I pinned the auction above, so we want to take a look at that. Please retweet, please share. And do we have any competition going? Anyone bidding for this piece, or anyone that you want to share with us, or any noises?
I haven't got a bid on this one yet, so I was hoping our auction here, or not our auction, our discussion here might invigorate people as we get it out there. So if you get that press release out soon, maybe we'll get some more. I did hear wind from friends of a friend. As I said, I've been trying to network a lot. There might be one bid coming, and if that starts, last time, every time there was one bid, there was always a second. So I'm hoping, as auctions go, people try to wait till towards the end so that people don't bid them up. So I'm hoping that we get something going here so that we can help Dr. Fay and his research. So let's keep our fingers crossed. And if you guys just share this around, get
Please retweet.
There is only about 26 hours left on this auction, so I'm not sure when your publication is going to come out. That you were mentioning that you might write up. If it gets out soon, maybe we can get more eyes on it. So nudge, nudge.
I think I'm gonna have to do it tomorrow morning then, because usually it goes out on Monday, but I forgot that you're in Asia, so you guys are a day ahead of us.
Yeah, so it's ending Monday my time. So tomorrow morning is actually tomorrow afternoon is when it will end actually, because it's got 26 hours left on it from right now.
Okay, so I'll work on it when we're done here, and then I'll just because I already have most of the content written up already.
Well, that would be really cool. So when you finish it, don't forget to tag me or DM me so that I can see how you talk about me. Make me look good.
I'm tagging everybody. You kidding?
Awesome. I appreciate you. And again, Tanya, thank you for hosting the space for us. I do appreciate that. And Brian, thanks for asking so many awesome questions. I know that we need to wrap up here. So thank you, everybody. I do appreciate those of you that were in the audience too, that hung around for this whole thing. I really do appreciate that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Adam.
Okay, everybody. Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Brian. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Gio and Stuart, and thank everyone for showing your support. I'll be back. I'm on the gun now. I got to publish this press release. So have an awesome day, and please retweet Adam's auction, and let's get some bids going. Let's get some, fun rivalry going on. I'm tracking. Hey, Nick, I'll talk to you later. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Tanya. Thank you again.
Bye.